Welcome to the hot shop. Today we have John Kiley working in the hot shop with the team. They are creating these sculptures here on the podium. That process consists of gathering up some glass at the end of a rod, laying color over a clear bubble. And then when they blow two bubbles out, they will smash them together. John Kiley is at the bench sitting down on the far right side of the hot shop. And he uses primary geometric forms as the architecture for his glass sculptures. In spherical forms, juxtaposed colors and carved optics passageways create a separation of space, allowing the viewer to peer into and through the form. Often his sculptures are balanced on edge, seeming to defy gravity. Here at the bench, at this point in the process, we're connecting a transfer rod to be able to remove this bubble from the end of the pipe we started on. So when we remove it from this initial pipe, we'll be able to clean up the little tiny access point. There's a small opening. We're going to clean that up and open it up. So when both of the spheres are nice and hot, they will connect the two, and then that is how that's how the sculptures on the podium meet. And then later, during the cold process, when John cuts into the glass, he'll do that at his own home studio, and it consists of a lot of cutting and then grinding and polishing the glass to where you never knew that it was a bubble. So with that cloth-like material, he'll shape the glass. That's a Kevlar pad that just has a stack of newspaper that's folded up inside of it. She'll blow into the end of the rod there to expand the bubble. just for the shape, to refine the shape after smushing the two bubbles together. So there, on the left side of the hot shop, he's dipping into the furnace with a steel rod. That hollow blowpipe allows him to blow into the end of the rod to create a bubble after gathering a bit of glass there at the end of the rod. The furnaces here The furnaces here in the hot shop hold about 1,000 pounds of molten hot glass. Can we see the furnace diagram? The furnaces are powered by natural gas and forced air. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can hold up to 1,000 pounds of molten glass while resting at 2,100 degrees. Thank you. After they come out of the furnace, you'll see the glass looks orange, but it's really clear when it cools down. It's only orange because it's hot. We have to add color to the glass during the process because all of the hot glass in the furnace is clear. On the left side of the hot shop here, Alex and Gabe are applying color over that clear bubble, different colors, which then you'll see when they finish, it'll be two different colors smashed together to create one piece. So every time we create a piece here on the hot shop floor, we have to put the piece into an annealing oven where it'll cool down overnight to prevent thermal shock. You can see she's suited up to be able to catch the piece off the end of the rod. He'll put a little water over the surface of the glass and then tap the pipe, and we'll place it into the annealing oven where it'll cool overnight to prevent thermal shock. As you can see on the big screen there, the bubbles start small and there's only a little piece of color that we lay over that small bubble. Could we see the color bar diagram? So when we create with color bar, that adds a solid colored finish to the surface of a piece. Thank you. And then in order to be able to blow that bubble out to be a bit larger, he has to gather over the color overlay, which will then allow him to expand the material. When they create in glass here on the floor, the beginning of the process is like, it consists of layering glass, so gathering it over and over again until they have just enough mass at the end of the rod to be able to blow it out to the proper shape and size. So it's kind of like an onion. It has a lot of layers to the process. At the bench, he'll use different tools to stabilize that molten hot glass. That tool he's using is a block. The block is a piece of hollowed out fruit wood that has been soaking in water. The steam is what protects the surface of the glass. The block, it cools the outer layers down while keeping the core nice and hot. So then when they're ready to expand the bubble, when they blow into the rod, the entire bubble expands evenly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hot Shop. My name is Emily. Today in the Hot Shop, John Kiley, he's the artist working with the team today on the right side of the Hot Shop at the bench. He is creating two spheres, and then they will smash them together Once they smash them together, he then will cut into them at a different point in time in his coal working shop, and you'll never even know that they were two spheres stuck together. And the end result will look like the sculptures here on the podium. We are at the point in the process where at the middle bench, he's going to take this sphere off of the pipe he started on and transfer it to a different rod to be able to open up the bubble. So now that he's transferred that green bubble off of his initial blowpipe here, he's going to open it up just a little bit, make sure it's nice and clean there at the access point. When they take the glass back into the reheating chamber, they're just getting it nice and hot. When it's hot, it visibly will read orange. It'll look very, very, very orange. Those reheating chambers they use while they're working rest at about 2,300 degrees. So now that we're connecting this rod, he'll put just a little water over the surface of the glass. He'll tap the pipe. Thermal shock will set in. And when he taps the pipe, the vibrations will help release that purple bubble. Can we please see the glory hole diagram? These reheating chambers they're using here in front of the benches are designed to reheat the glass. They're powered by natural gas and forced air, and they're only for reheating. They rest at 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit during the process. So now that they've combined the two spheres, she'll blow into the end of the rod to help expand that bubble. He's heating it with this fluffy torch. It'll get nice and hot, and then when she blows into the end of the rod, the bubble will expand. So as you can see, he just gathered up some glass out of the furnace. The glass in the furnace, it looks orange when it's hot, but it's clear when it cools down. As you can see, it's super duper soft when it's hot. And then when they shape it with the different tools, it stiffens up and cools down quickly. So my youth visitors here in the hot shop in the audience are wondering, what was the glass before we created with it here in the hot shop? So our furnaces here in the hot shop are where all the molten hot glass is held. And I can tell you just a little bit about the ingredients in the glass. So, glass is made when sand, comprised of molecules of silicon dioxide known as silica, soda ash, and limestone are melted at a very high temperature. So, whenever the furnace levels start to get low, we have to refill the furnaces with glass. To learn a little bit more about the glass within the furnaces, can we see the charging the furnace video?
Charging the furnace is what we call filling the furnace up with glass. Glass cullet is washed clean and loaded into tubes for filling. Here at the museum, we don't use recycled bottles. Instead, we melt cullet that has been specifically designed to make blown glass art. The primary ingredient in glass is silica sand, or silicon dioxide. The other two main ingredients are soda, or sodium oxide, which lowers the melting temperature, and lime, or calcium oxide, to stabilize it. Once the cullet is loaded into the 2300-degree furnace, a rake is used to level the glass for even melting. The furnaces at the Museum of Glass hold approximately 1,000 pounds of clear molten glass and run continuously 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So we're at the point in the process in which they've restarted, they've gathered up a little bit of glass, and that little bit of glass they laid color over. Color bar comes in many colors. We buy this color from the color store, but it's created in Germany. We heat up that color bar at the end of the rod and we use a little piece. And then we gather over that. So glass is made and it's sized by how many gathers we take. It's kind of like an onion. It has a lot of layers before you're able to blow it out to the desired size. As you can see, he's gathering over the bubble. When he comes out of the furnace, this is where all the molten hot glass is held. When he comes out, he'll have a larger mass of glass at the end of the rod. She sprays water into that furnace to remove any bubbles that could come up to the surface after he rotated that rod in there. So John Kiley is here working with the team today. He's over on the right side of the hot shop standing up. He uses primary geometric forms as the architecture for his glass sculptures. After he smashes these two bubbles together here in the hot shop, he cuts away at the different parts of the bubble to create sculptures that almost look like they're defying gravity here on the podium. If we have any pictures available of John Kiley's past works, could we see some of John's past works? Often, when he works here with the team, he'll make really large scale spheres and then smash them together. And these are the larger scale sculptures he creates here on the big screen. John's work has been exhibited at galleries and museums around the world. He's been a visiting instructor at the National College of Art and Design in Dublin, Ireland, the Bezalel Academy of Art and Design in Jerusalem, Israel, the Pittsburgh Glass Center, and Pratt Fine Arts Center in Seattle, Washington. He has worked and demonstrated in Finland, Ireland, Mexico, Italy, Japan, Bulgaria, China, Australia, Brazil, and Turkey. So for all my youth visitors in the audience today, as long as you're 12 and under, I encourage you all to get the Kids Design Glass submission form. Kids Design Glass is one of our long-standing programs here at Museum of Glass. If you submit to the Kids Design Glass contest and the Hot Shop team calls you, you'll be invited back with your family. Well, they're going to make they'll make two pieces of the item that you drew. One will stay in our permanent collection to go on exhibit over time. As you can see when you walked in the Grand Hall, as well as in the art alley, those are kids' design pieces from over time. And then one will go home with you and your family for you guys to have a copy of what you created at home. So be sure to grab a Kids Design Glass form and submit your drawing. You don't have to do it right now today. You can mail them in or you can drop them off. As long as they make it back to the museum, you'll then be entered into the Kids Design Glass contest. So as he carves into the glass, this is called creating a jack line. This helps remove the piece from the initial blowpipe we start on. It creates a weak point within the material, which helps reference the end of the pipe and the beginning of the piece. We have to carve into the glass to be able to remove it from the initial pipe to clean up the opposite side when we are ready to transfer it from the initial blowpipe. Pay attention to how she blows into the rod to help expand the two spheres now that they've smashed them together. And so they'll get it nice and warm, make sure that heat is evenly distributed before they place it into the annealing oven where it'll cool overnight to prevent thermal shock. This evening here in the hot shop, we will have Third Thursday. One more sculpture for the annealing oven. Let's give them a big round of applause. Clap it up. This evening here in the hot shop, we will have Third Thursday. Every Third Thursday, we're open from 5 to 8 p.m., free to the public. But we also will have concert in the cone. So on Third Thursdays, we have hilltop artists, youth artists demonstrating here on the hot shop floor. And then we will also have concert in the cone. Percussionist James Doyle will be here performing while the hilltop artists are creating on the floor. So if you have any interest in coming to hang out at concert in the cone, be sure to come on back around 5 to 8 p.m. and James will begin from 6 to 7 p.m. his concert here in the cone. Mark your calendars for third Thursdays because every third Thursday, the museums here in the Museum District are open free to the public from 5 to 8 p.m. Hello, students. Welcome to the Hot Shop. My name is Emily. I'll be the MC for the day. And today in the Hot Shop, we have John Kiley working with the Hot Shop team to create his work. That process consists of blowing out two bubbles that are super hot, and then they smash them together. After the two bubbles are smashed together into one large sphere, he then will he'll cut into the glass to create sculptures similar to the ones here on the podium. Cutting in the glass consists of using different different types of grinding materials. And then he polishes them to look like the pieces similar to the ones here on the podium. John Kiley is here in the Hot Shop on the right side of the Hot Shop with the black t-shirt on. On the big screen, we've started the process of gathering up glass from the furnace. So, dipping into the furnace is like dipping into a jar of honey. Can we see the furnace diagram? The furnaces here within the Hot Shop are powered by natural gas and forced air. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can hold up to 1,000 pounds of molten hot glass while resting at 2,100 degrees. The furnaces are the ovens with the silver base and the doors on the front of them. Here in the Hot Shop on the floor. Thank you. After they've dipped into the furnace to gather up a little glass, they then will heat up color bar, and color bar is how we get a solid surface, a solid color finish on the surface of glass. So they'll heat up a piece of color bar, and they'll put a little color over the surface of a clear bubble. To learn more about how we added color to the piece that we can see, it looks orange, but only because it's hot. It'll be a different color when it cools down. So to learn more about how we added color, it's known as the color overlay process.
The color in glass comes from adding various materials to the mixture of raw ingredients called batch. Most of the colorants are compounds containing some kind of metal. For example, adding cobalt to clear glass creates a deep blue. Tin and antimony can be used to create white glass, and gold chloride can produce a rich red or pink colored glass. Colored glass is melted in furnaces, just like clear glass, and then is usually rolled into bars for storage and easy application. In order to apply color bar to a bubble, we first need to preheat the color to approximately 950 or 1000 degrees Fahrenheit in a color oven or garage. Once warm, the color is then picked up on the end of a punty rod using a little bit of clear glass as a support. The color is then heated in the 2300 degree glory hole to soften it and make it malleable, while another artist creates a small bubble of clear glass on a blowpipe. Once warm, the color is dropped over the clear bubble, and then using a variety of hand tools or the steel marver, the color is rolled back over the clear in an even layer. This process is called dropping color, or creating a color overlay. Depending on the project, that bubble is then usually gathered over with clear glass and blown into the final form. The finished product may appear to be all made from colored glass, but when viewed in cross-section, we can see that there is only a thin layer of color sandwiched between many layers of clear glass.
So pay attention. At the bench here, he'll start to blow into the end of the rod after he shapes it. He'll use different tools at the bench to stabilize that hot glass. He's blowing into the end of the rod and the bubble is expanding. When the glass glows this really, really bright orange color, that only means that it's hot and it's super soft, so then they're able to expand it. With that pad that he has in his hand, that's a stack of folded up newspaper that's been put into a sleeve, and that allows him to shape the glass. It's a very intimate tool for shaping that bubble. And now with this large tool, this is what we call a jacks. He's carving into the material to create a line of tension. This is a reference point which indicates the end of the rod and the beginning of the piece. It's really important that we have a well-carved line of tension to be able to take this piece from the pipe we started on and transfer it to an additional rod so we can work on the opposite side. So with this tool, he'll drill into the into the bottom of that bubble to create a hole. We need to drill a hole into the bottom of the bubble to be able to continue to expand the piece when we disconnect it from this pipe. These chambers in front of the benches are only designed to reheat the glass. These reheating chambers rest at about 2,300 degrees. We have to keep the glass above a certain temperature while working to prevent thermal shock. And so it's really important that we constantly reheat the pieces within these chambers. The next step of the process is to connect a transfer rod. Now that the transfer rod is connected, he's going to take this initial piece, take the bubble off of the pipe we started with. He'll put a little water over the surface of the glass. Thermal shock will set in, and when he taps the pipe, the vibrations will release the bubble. So now that they have combined the two spheres into one large piece, they will then clean up and add the finishes. Pay attention to how when he heats the glass, she'll blow into the end of the rod to continue to expand the bubble. That torch gets up to about 2,500 degrees, and so wherever you focus it on the surface of the glass, the heat is soaking in, and then it'll continue to expand directly where he wants it to expand. She'll give it a flash just to keep it nice and warm. It always needs to stay nice and evenly heated during the process. And then you'll see Ben will take some molten hot glass out of the furnace. That glass is like honey when it's super duper hot, and orange, it's soft. They're gonna lay it on, he's going to place it onto the bottom portion of the piece, and then John will shape it with the paddle. When it cools down, it's just clear glass that we extract from the furnace during the process. So now he'll make sure that that connection point is nice and hot. And then she's getting suited up to be able to catch this piece off the pipe. He'll put a little water over the surface of the glass. He'll tap the pipe. And let's give John Kiley and the Hot Shop team a big round of applause. Clap it up. So for my youth visitors here in the audience, we have a program known as Kids Design Glass here at Museum of Glass. Could we see the Kids Design Glass slide? If you're 12 and under, be sure to locate the Kids Design Glass submission forms within the Grand Hall. And the Kids Design Glass program was created to encourage the youth like yourself to create like fine artists do here in the Hot Shop. If you submit a drawing and your submission form is selected, the Hot Shop team will call you back with your family, and we'll create two of your drawings. One will stay in our permanent collection that's been made out of glass, and then one will go home with you and your family. So be sure to get a Kids Design Glass drawing form before you go home today. And turn it in. You can mail it in or you can drop it off at a different point in time if you don't have time to create a drawing today. You can also see past Kids Design Glass works in the art alley or when you come in near the front doors in the Grand Hall. On the right side of the hot shop, they just laid color over the clear bubble. We're going to start and we're going to do the same thing again. John Kiley will be working here in the hot shop all day. Could we please see some of John's past works? So John's a Seattle-based artist, and often when he comes and works here in the hot shop, he will smash two larger bubbles together and then blow them out a bit. And so these are the large-scale sculptures that he creates. When he comes, today he's just doing these size, which is great to watch also. John Kiley uses primary geometric forms as the architecture for his glass sculptures. In his spherical forms, juxtaposed colors and carved optic passageways create a separation of space, allowing the viewer to peer into and through the form. Often his sculptures are balanced on edge, seeming to defy gravity. John's work has been exhibited at galleries and museums around the world. He has worked and demonstrated in Finland, Ireland, Mexico, Italy, Japan, Bulgaria, China, Australia, Brazil, and Turkey. So I told you guys about our Kids Design Glass program, but I think I want to show you a video so you can learn a little bit more. So as they continue to sculpt here on the hot shop floor, can we please see the Kids Design Glass video?
Like art through the ages, glass has always been sort of made by designer and maker. And so to highlight that relationship, we created Kids Design Glass, where kids age 12 and under can make a drawing and submit it to us. We'll make 2 pieces, give one to the family, and we'll keep one to put in our collection and build the exhibition that has been Kids Design Glass.
We get a huge stack of drawings and we sift through them to pick the ones that we can make and the ones that are interesting.
200-300 drawings a month, so we get a stack of drawings.
We go through each one. It's a drawing and a story about the drawing.
Probably the most unique drawings are the ones that really stick out. The ones that aren't like based on a character that they've already seen. The ones that come straight from their imagination.
Usually kids by that age, they're not really tainted by like pop culture and outside influences. They kind of like what they like.
My original idea for the rainbow marshmallow, when the marshmallow melts, what comes out are their tears. And this one cries rainbows. Like the inside is all rainbow. It was the first time that I was like kind of made contact into like the glass blowing world. And what was really fun about it was knowing that a piece that I've come up with that is like part of my self-expression was like interesting enough for others to like incorporate it into the real world.
Being in a creative environment, I think that builds self-esteem, and the fact that they're going to have this thing that they're going to have the rest of their lives of something that they had as a child, and then knowing that they're actually like in a museum collection, which is pretty incredible when you're under 12 years old.
If any other kids are entering the program, then I'd say I really hope that your art gets chosen. It is really mesmerizing to see the details being put on. I was just very happy that the Hot Shop team actually chose my art. Who knows, maybe if you're timing it just right, you could actually get up there when your art is like being displayed up there.
For 20 years, we've made some wild things. It's so free, and I would say loose, but what we really pay attention to is making sure that we're capturing all the details.
There's so many challenges in making the kids design drawings, and I think that's something that maybe the average viewer wouldn't notice.
A lot of these objects are very fragile and are just different than any of the other glass I usually work on.
The way the kids draw them, they just have no idea of what, you know, glass can do, so they just draw it however their mind imagines this object.
We're talking with them, making sure that we're seeing the color the same way, making sure that, you know, the eyes are on one side or are they supposed to be on both sides.
Appendages and weird helmets, they're all great challenges and things that we wouldn't necessarily run into without this program. I think it's inspiring for us as glassmakers, and I hope it's inspiring for the kids doing the drawings. I hope the kids kind of see that their creativity is this muscle that they need to exercise.
One of the best parts about the program is seeing the kid in the front row giving us tips on how we can make it better or things they don't like that we're doing. They have a voice here.
I designed the lion crab in 2011. Just recently, we went back to the museum, and seeing my piece on display at the museum was just incredible.
I mean, we have times where people come in the crowd and some young adult, you know, in their 20s or early 30s, is like, hey, you made my kids design glass, and they bring out their phone and show us a picture, and it's them like 10 years old. And, you know, it's to see the impact that we've made. I think every single one is special. Yeah.
So as he dips into the furnace, this is where all the mold tank glass is held. It's like honey. And in this environment, it'll cool down and stiffen up. At the bench there, he'll use various tools to help stabilize that glass. We need a certain amount of gathers from the furnace to be able to blow out a certain size of piece. And so he has to layer the glass slowly by gathering it. And then when it's all properly gathered and shaped, they'll be able to blow out the bubble and expand the starter bubble. At the bench there, he'll use a block. The block is a piece of hollowed out fruit wood that's been soaking in water. They won't be able to expand the bubble until they have enough glass gathered. They're getting closer to the point of blowing out the bubble. The glass is orange when it's super duper hot. That won't be the color it'll be when it cools during the process. They added a little color early on in the process. All of the glass that we gather around that color overlay is clear. It just looks orange because it's hot. These reheating chambers that they're using in front of the benches are designed only to reheat the glass. It's important that they go in and out of these reheating chambers to keep both parts of the glass nice and hot to prevent thermal shock. At this point in the process here on the big screen, we're going to remove this bubble from the initial pipe we started on to a transfer rod. We're going to get both of these bubbles nice and hot, and then they'll smash them together. So as you can see here, now that we've connected the two spheres into one piece, John Kiley will use primary geometric forms as the architecture for his glass sculptures. He's the visiting artist here at the middle bench working with the team to create his work today. Can we see some of John's past works? On the big screen there, you'll be able to see larger scale sculptures that John has created, and then in the cold process, he cuts away at the big spheres he creates here on the hot shop floor and transforms them into his own ideas. We're going to take this piece and prepare it to be removed from the end of the rod. We have to make sure that it's nice and hot, well evenly heated throughout. And then in a moment, they'll remove it from the end of the rod and place it into the annealing chamber where it'll cool overnight. A little water on the surface of the glass, and when he taps it, it'll remove the sculpture. Let's give them a big round of applause for all their work. Clap it up. So as they've laid color over the end of the clear bubbles they've gathered, they have to continue to gather a certain amount of glass in a layering process to then be able to blow out the 2 bubbles. Once they blow out the 2 bubbles, they will smash them together. So now that they've gathered up enough glass, they will start to blow out the two pieces that will be joined together. So once both of the pieces are at the right temperature, they will be combined. And now we'll combine the two bubbles to create one piece. He's gonna blow into the end of the rod to expand the glass. Welcome into the hot shop for those of you who are just joining us. John Kiley is working with the team today. We're going to make one more piece before we take a lunch break, so hang out for a bit. We'll take a lunch break closer to the 1 o'clock hour. He'll go back into the reheating chamber to get the whole piece nice and warm so they can continue to expand the glass at the bench. John is here at the bench. He's the artist working with the Hot Shop team to produce his work over the next couple days, I believe today and tomorrow. As he concentrates that fluffy torch in certain areas, he's blowing into the end of the rod to expand the bubble. That torch gets up to about 2,500 degrees. So on the left side of the hot shop, they're restarting the process. The process starts by dipping into the furnace. Can we see the furnace diagram? The furnaces here in the hot shop are able to hold up to about 1,000 pounds of molten glass. The molten glass comes out and it's super soft and hot, similar to that bit we just added to the bottom of the sculpture here. The furnaces are the silver tanks with the doors on the front of them to protect that molten hot glass. The furnaces are powered by natural gas and forced air. They run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they rest at about 2,100 degrees. You'll see when he comes out of the furnace, they'll shape the glass and blow into the end of the rod to create a bubble. They're going to lay color over this bubble to change the surface color of the glass. Because all of the glass within the furnace is clear, we have to add color into the process. They're heating up color bars and laying them over the clear bubbles. And that's how we get color into the sculptures. So now, when they're finished with the piece here at the middle bench, she's going to catch it and place it into an annealing oven where it'll cool down overnight to prevent thermal shock. He'll put a little water over the surface of the glass and tap it to release the piece. Let's give them a round of applause for John Kiley and the Hot Shop team. Can we please see some of John's past works? John Kiley is a Seattle-based artist, and his work has been exhibited at galleries and museums around the world. He has worked and demonstrated in Finland, Ireland, Mexico, Italy, and Japan, to name a few. Typically, when he comes to work in the hot shop, he'll create really large spheres and then smash them together. And then later in the cold working process, he'll cut them into sculptures that almost seem to be defying gravity after he cuts them into sculptures. So he'll gather glass over the color overlay. When we gather glass, that then allows us to have more mass at the end of the rod to continue to expand that really tiny starter bubble. They're going to make a small scale sculpture with the one that they're creating now, with the piece they're creating now. So there at the bench with that block, he'll stabilize that fresh gather of glass. And then he'll blow into the end of the rod to expand the bubble. He'll carve into the glass to help move that bubble away from the end of the rod. Can we put... As he carves into the glass, it'll create a reference point indicating the end of the rod and the beginning of the piece. It's important that we create this line of tension to be able to detach this piece from this pipe to a transfer rod to shape it at a different point in the process. So now he'll connect a transfer rod to be able to remove this bubble off the end of the starter pipe. And then where they release the glass from, there'll be a small access point, and that access point is the opening between the two bubbles that will meet. If you come and look before you leave out at the sculptures on the podium, you'll be able to see the opening. Put a little water and tap the rod, and the vibrations will help release the glass from the end of the rod. So now he'll gather up a little glass and lay it at the bottom of the piece. A little flash within the reheating chamber in front of the bench. The reheating chamber is keep the glass nice and evenly heated throughout the process. We want to stay above a certain temperature to prevent thermal shock. So that's why it's important to go in and out of the reheating chamber. And then he'll lay a little glass on the bottom. As you can see, that glass is very, very soft. It starts out like honey, And in the natural environment, it chills and stiffens up quickly, and that's how we're able to create here in the hot shop. This evening here at the Museum of Glass is third Thursday. We will be open free to the public from 5 to 8 p.m. The Hilltop artists will be here demonstrating their skill sets on the floor. Hilltop Artists is a local youth organization dedicated to enhancing the lives of the youth through the glassmaking process. And the Hilltop Artists begin creating as young as 12 years old. So if you're interested in hanging out with us later this evening, be sure to come back. We will also have concert in the Cone from 6 to 7 p.m. So we'll have percussionist James Doyle playing music here in the hot shop. So we'll give it a little flash, and then we'll prepare to take this piece off the end of the pipe in a moment. After we finish this piece, we will take a lunch break for about 1 hour, and then we will come back and do it all again. All right, we'll put it into the annealing oven. Let's give a big round of applause for John Kiley and the Hot Shop team. And that is it for this morning, and we'll see you all in a few. We'll be back in about 1 hour.